say this because I'm a father. See, I am a father of thousands around the world. I'm a father of my kids, but a spiritual father to many. And I don't make sure I've been bothering and black and brown men in this country. And I'm calling on all the umbrellas. I'm calling on everybody in this country to begin to rise up because your sons have been done dirty.
Talking Junk Network,
where entertainment lives.
Welcome to Talking Junk.
I'm your host, Jason Melendez.
Live now every week on Fridays.
Talking Junk.
A multitude of professionals in different aspects, different walks of life.
You have to come on and talk junk like a normal person.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Heaven's Pantry's Excalibur, the only 100% vegan chocolate energy bar that tastes just like a brownie. With 6 simple ingredients: dates, cashews, almonds, cocoa powder, and coconut oil, sprinkled with a little bit of sea salt to taste, makes for the best snack there is. Go to Amazon.com right now and use the promo code HP Street to get 20% off your first order, and then use the promo code TalkJunk69 to get 10% off every order after. Because we know once you have one, you'll be back for more. We're also brought to you tonight by Dizzle, the premium luxury liqueur straight out of California. This thing is 80 proof, 40% alcohol by volume. It is only classified as a liqueur because it is cognac and tequila mixed with hints of mango and citrus. It makes for the best mixer, or just take it straight up over some ice. You can never go wrong with Dizzle, because we ask you the same question all the time. If you're not Dizzling, what the hell are you doing? Welcome to Talking Junk, the podcast that comes to you live every Friday night. Great guests, great topics, and tonight is no different. We have Karl Lashkari here. He is an expert in men's health, empowerment, and leadership. He is the self-proclaimed leader of the empowerment of masculinity and emotional intelligence in men. Welcome, my guest, Karl Lashkari. How you doing, Karl? How's everything?
I'm doing great, Jason.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Especially the eve of Christmas Eve. I know a lot of people are busy nowadays during the holidays. They don't usually have time to sit down for a podcast. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how'd you get into men's mental health? Was it just something that you knew right off the bat that you was going to get into, or did you just gradually evolve into a mental health therapist?
Yeah, so it was definitely a gradual thing with a life event. I actually used to be in the world of hedge funds and then management consulting for technology transformations. And about 4 years ago, I ended up, while I was working as a consultant, 80-hour weeks, work hard, play hard, all of that, I ended up falling really badly sick, in which I was in bed for about 8 months, completely unable to walk, pain like 9 out of 10, body
wow.
sound sensitivity, noise sensitivity, all of it. And I had to quit working and focus on getting back to full strength for about 3 years.
What happened to you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I had a condition called myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is also known as chronic fatigue syndrome. And it's brain inflammation, but it's a multi-system thing. And it starts with brain inflammation, but it goes to thyroid, liver, pancreas, etc. And it's just overall body inflammation. Yeah. So that was quite a journey, and I got into the area of wellness, and not just in a traditional way, because the medical system wasn't ever really able to help me. So going a lot of non-traditional routes, spending time with indigenous communities, all kinds of different wellness therapies and healing therapies and this and that and that and that. And as I started to recover and get better, I was really looking at attacking the root of it. And some of it was a little more traditional therapy based, like not being expressed in my emotions fully, not really being owning the man that I am, the person that I am.
Right.
And then a lot of it that I tracked back to was how disconnected I was from my masculinity, always being a follower in the world, doing a job based on someone else's terms, having fear in my dating and just kind of getting pushed around in my relationships, and just realizing how not being connected to my own leadership, to my own awareness, to my own strength was really making it difficult for me to be comfortable in my own skin. And that leads to the thinking, and that leads to the bad ways of feeling, and that leads to more and more things. And now that I've worked with hundreds of men around this, I'm seeing that a big part of the mental health equation is being disconnected from masculinity.
Right, because we're all, in a sense, we're all societal followers. We're lambs, so to speak, and
100%.
it's hard to break out of that costume and become wolf.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
what was your first breakthrough? How did you take your first step into becoming your wolf?
It's a great question. I would say that
Happy
my
holidays,
first.
Jose.
What's up?
The viewers, they said happy holidays, so I was just acknowledging.
Yeah. I would say the first breakthrough was being able to be seen in my leadership, being able to be seen both in my vulnerability and my leadership. So as I was going through this process, I started this thing called men's work. And men's work is basically you get together on retreats with a community of men, and you really express more of that primal animalistic self. And I'm always someone who considered himself shy in the past, not anymore, but in the past. And being able to join these circles where I'm just everything I've ever felt guilty about, everything I've ever felt shame about, everything I ever hid, the parts of myself, even the more powerful, arrogant, confident parts of myself, it was always hiding. And being able to be in these circles with other men where I realized that I can actually be who I am and not have to apologize for it. I would say that was the first breakthrough, is like radical acceptance that, oh, wow, I can actually be what I would call the asshole side of myself or the less likable part of myself. No, that's just perfect.
So after you found your comfort zone, because I assume that eventually what all that means. You got into your swing of things. You started learning exactly who you were and felt comfortable in your skin.
Yeah.
After that, when did you start guiding other men to do the same?
Yeah. So I was doing this work, this men's work, and a lot of other therapies for about a year. And then I realized, like, I knew I was never going to go back to the world I was in. I was very successful as a management consultant, financially, all of that, but something always felt missing. I needed purpose in my life, which is a key part of being a man, is having purpose and driving that purpose. And I started leading circles with 30, 40 guys out in San Diego with a group of a few other leaders. And at the time, I didn't think it was going to be a fully professional thing, but I just loved it. And it felt like a good opportunity for me to take my learnings from this health recovery journey. In that period of time, I was still in the process of it, and to help other people get over the shit they're going through in relationships, the shit they're going through with mental health issues, with alcohol issues, with, all sorts of things. And I started hosting these events in the middle of this island once a month with a few other brothers, and really realizing that, wow, this is what I want to be doing. I have a lot to offer here. It feels impactful and it's helping other people. So that led for me to, not only do these retreats, but also decide that, okay, I'm going to do this as a coach and help people. At first, I was doing more of the spiritual side of things, meditation, breath work, really getting the nervous system back to its optimal state, getting the mind back to its optimal state, brainwave state.
And that's what you were doing
emotion.
with other people, or just doing it for yourself?
With other people. That was the key part of the work in the early going. And I still do that work as well, but now I'm doing more work on connecting to the biological masculinity and the leadership. So it really just spiraled from doing it with myself to doing it with this small community of 5 men to a larger community of 30 to 40 men a week or a month. And now I have men's containers in Colombia, in Mexico, in Dominican Republic, and I just launched one in Argentina, and really looking to spread this work, other men who are leading these containers, to have a space available for men to really go deep within themselves and express themselves in all that they are.
Right. Right. And I heard you say biological masculinity.
Yeah.
Now, what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah. So as humans, you, me, many other men, many other women, we have the lizard brain, we have the monkey brain, we have the prefrontal cortex. And I personally believe that in this day and age, 2022, especially in the United States of America, we're a little overly reliant on this prefrontal cortex. It's great. It's what makes us unique compared to other animals, right? It's what makes us more evolved. But on the other side, we have many other parts of ourselves that are in the body, our primal instinct, our, even our sexuality, our primal instinct, our feelings. And one of those biological things is our masculinity as men and femininity as women. And that is the need, masculinity can be defined in a lot of different ways, but, it is the need to lead, is the need to feel powerful. It is the need for men to be aware and logical and, and protect and provide and fight if fight needs to be happened and all of those things. And, we're in a very safe time right now where we don't need those things, right? We don't need to fight wars as much as we used to. We certainly don't need to protect our family from tigers or cougars or pumas or any of that. So the masculine energy is always about leading a tribe. And we're in a time right now where that energy, that instinct is actually being shit on in a lot of ways. And because it's not necessary, because we don't need to, let the women and children stay on the Titanic and, sacrifice, because we don't need to, constantly be going to war. There's a little bit of a misplacement for men about how to access this energy, because it's still an energy. It's still something inside of us that needs to be accessed. And by no means am I saying we need to go to war. I'm not saying that I'm pro any of those things, but there are ways in the leaders of our lives, in our businesses, in our families, that we can access that need to lead, that need to provide, that need to just be in all of our ferocity as men.
Right. I do agree with you. Society has dumbed down masculinity a lot. They make it really, really hard for you to be any type of a masculine man without you being sexist or canceled by cancel culture now. So
yeah,
you can't even learn from your mistakes anymore.
No. It's really sad. And in my opinion, it's what's really led to the rise in mental health issues for men. There's been a meteoric rise in the last 20 years statistically. And you see, if a man can't be in his leadership in the workplace, right? It's like, oh, that's toxic. A man can't be a leader in a relationship. No, it has to be 50-50 now. Everything's got to be split. So he's not able to tap into that true nature. So what does it lead to? It leads to disconnection from body, disconnection from instinct, more video games, more junk food, more porn, just watching sports, fantasy football. All of these things are okay in moderation, but one thing I realized in my journey as I spent 6 to 8 hours meditating every single day and really connecting with the subconscious layers of myself while I was recovering was that, wow, how much I disconnect because I'm afraid to be in my power.
Right. And it's hard to get into the swing of trying to bring your masculinity out. How are some of the ways you coach your guys into start getting into the swing of letting their masculinity fly? Yeah.
So what makes my approach a little unique, I think a lot of people in the world of masculinity, like on the internet, there's the world of red pill and manosphere. And I'm not part of that. I do not consider myself part of that. But there is an element of external things like, okay, make a lot of money, experience success, go to the gym, experience success, date women, experience success. There is that element of it. I do think men do feel the need to achieve, and achievement in itself, living in consciousness, awareness, and all of that does help. However, I do believe it goes a few steps deeper. And that's actually being able to embody the energy of masculinity. So for me, it's not about attaining the thing and then feeling masculine. It's about being masculine, and then the thing tends to just come in terms of business success, relational success. So what do I mean by that?
Be your inner Saiyan.
Yeah,
Inner Saiyan Kakarot.
I've never watched that, but I've seen some visuals, and I imagine it's quite similar. Because it's funny you say that, because literally for me it's mirror practice. I look in front of the mirror and I practice 8 different energies. So some of them is in the mirror and some of it's just in daily life. One is discipline and accountability. The energy of being fully disciplined and accountable for all of your choices, your intentions, and your actions.
Right.
The second is having a higher level awareness. That's more of like a meditation piece. Being able to drop into inner awareness and spatial awareness in a way where, if you're on YouTube all the time and on Instagram and just constantly looking from thing to thing to thing, you're not going to get. The third is connecting with your instinct, your emotional intelligence, your intuition, and that masculine instinct. We talk about that instinct to lead, that instinct to provide.
Right, your gut feeling.
Your gut feeling, exactly. The fourth is connecting with your courage, inner freedom. And that's probably the most difficult one, because when we talk about inner freedom, that's looking at all your darkness, looking at all of the parts of you that you've been afraid to show in the world. Maybe you were rejected at 5 years old and people told you it's bad to be this, but it's inside of you. Being able to acknowledge
anxiety that comes over you. It's almost like PTSD.
Totally. And the more you can make friends with your dark side, doesn't mean you act on all of it, right? Some of it is harmful. Some of it is not something to act on, but it's okay to acknowledge all of it. And when I say dark side, I'm not just talking about like necessarily something that's wrong, but even just parts of you that you're ashamed of, and you don't put light on it. You've put it in the shadow. You've put it in the dark. So being able to have courage and inner freedom is really important. The next is speaking truth and realizing truth. And you'll be surprised in today's society how much people don't even know their own truth. And I break truth down into 2 things. One is what living in integrity is for you as a man. Not doing what a political party says or a media outlet says or a group of friends says, but really what is integrity for you as an individual, as a man.
Right.
And the second is more, thinking for yourself at that deeper level where you have to get rid of all the conditioning and all the groupthink and all the woke culture and all of it. And then the second is discernment, being able to constantly call a spade for a spade and make discerning decisions where you're doing what's right. Maybe it's calling people out on their bullshit. Maybe it's going against the grain, but really using discernment. The next is having directional leadership, being able to constantly be leading towards a certain direction. And then the last one is having a sense of levity and humor in everything you do. And these are energies, these are embodiments. This is not something you read a book and you learn how to do. It's something that is inside of all of us biologically that we can tap into by letting these energies be free and expressed.
Now that was funny because I was gonna ask you if you ever thought about putting this all in a book, but if it's something that you can't learn in a book, it's more of a hands-on thing. Since you're doing retreats and everything, have you either put all of these retreats on the internet, or are you thinking about getting your own TED Talk to try to spread the word on this?
Yeah, so I am actively in the process of getting a TED Talk right now. Certainly. And then in my groups, my weekly groups, we touch on some of these things, but I actually have an online program, which is a coaching program, which is a mix between content and my coaching that actually goes through all of these 8 elements and helps people embody them through different embodiment practices and journaling type work as well, to root out the old and get into the new. That's it right there. It's the Masculine Mastery Method program.
Step into your masculine power and leadership. Be a high-value man in business, dating and relationships, and your lifestyle be sharpened and support by a brotherhood of successful top leaders. Become a man of mastery.
If we ever have a documentary, I'm going to ask you to do the lead-in, all right?
Anytime you want. You let me know.
Yeah. So, the community, the weekly communities I told you about, those are free for anybody who are in the communities which I'm in or my other coaches are in. But in terms of really making the transformation, I have a 6-month transformational container to embody these masculine traits. And the focus is embodying masculinity for what? To be more of a high value man, for greater business success, for greater freedom from the corporate agenda, from the corporate environment, to be in relationships where there's more traditional, and not traditional necessarily, that's not the right word, but more biological masculine and feminine dynamics. So there's more compatibility with men and women, and, to just live a lifestyle on your own terms.
Looks like you got it all figured out for all of us, man, and that's a great thing, because we as men lack that guidance nowadays. It's even some of us that have our fathers in the picture. It's been very hard since, I'd say, probably since the 90s.
Yeah.
We've been dumbed down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, it started with trying to find men's feminine sides, which is perfectly fine. You should be in tune with your feminine side as well as your masculine.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, that primalness, that urge is there, and a lot of men weren't acting on it because of I guess fear of ridicule, fear of the times. And
Yeah.
it's still like that today, and it's gotten worse, progressively worse.
Yeah.
So
And
where
go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No.
I was just speaking to, I believe, I don't like stepping too much in the conspiracy realms, but I do believe there was some intention behind it. A man in all his masculinity and his power is a very dangerous man. I don't know if you've heard Jordan Peterson say about it, but it's a good thing to be a dangerous man and only use it when you need to use it. And if you talk about the 90s, think about every sitcom, Home Improvement, all the sitcoms where the man's just some dope sitting on the couch, begging for sex all the time, being stupid. And this is a conditioning that's happened in our generation, brother. You see it on the news. You see it in the way the workplace is going. By all means, I have a lot of empathy for what women had to go through. And this is not one thing I want to make clear is this is not a man versus woman conversation. This is a narrative versus regular people conversation. Right. I believe that men and women are on the same page as this. Women, I've worked with a lot of women as well. And a lot of women really desire to be in that feminine energy because, again, there's mental health components that come from being in the feminine energy. It's not comfortable for a woman to be in her masculine energy all the time, just like it's not empowering for a man to be in his feminine.
And the same can be argued for women, that they've been kind of pushed into their masculine sides as well to take over through the years. You know what I mean? And the independent women is it's fine, to be independent, for a woman to be independent. I have to read orders. I want them to be independent, but I want them to be able to be at peace and one with their feminine side. They need that. They don't need to be that the rock that they think they need to be all the time.
It's a lot more of if a woman is connected with her femininity, it's a lot more of a burden for her to be that rock than it is for a man. Just like it's a lot more of a burden for a man to hold his sadness than it is for a woman. After a breakup, like, women completely get into their sadness, move it through, and get over it a lot faster than men do. Men get lost in that sadness because we're not built to be with emotion in the same way that women aren't built to be in logic or to be in that strength. And not to say that we don't want to be well-rounded people and be able to tap into the other side. I do believe that that's okay and encouraged, but there is biology of what makes us feel more comfortable. And again, everything with me comes back to the mental health equation. And I'm seeing this with men and women is we need to be connected to our true nature.
We really do. We how would you rate it's hard to word because with the state of cancel culture right now,
Yeah.
how would you even express yourself in a masculine manner without being the asshole like you put it in the beginning of the conversation? How do you come off masculine and assertive without being a dick?
Yeah. So here's the crazy thing is, assuming we're purely in our essence, right, without all the trauma, a man in his masculine is actually a very devoted man. Like when a woman, let's talk about relationship, for example. When a woman is being a bit more submissive, is empowering her man, is making him feel safe to be in his power, a healthy man is not going to then abuse that woman. You feel more devoted to protect, to provide, to, take care of the emotions of the feminine. I think men need to do enough of their own inner feminine work too, like you alluded to make sure that when they are in their masculine, that they're not using it to abuse people. That's your own inner work as a man. Like if you are in all your power, are you going to use that power to protect and provide and help people out? Or are you going to use it to stroke your ego and step on people? I've worked in the hedge fund world, like I told you, I've worked in management consulting, and there's a lot of masculine men who use it because of their wounds. So in no means am I saying that there isn't over masculinity. That doesn't exist. It does. But that's where we get to be well-rounded, where we work through our shit, we connect with our hearts, and then we step into our masculinity from that place. Now, to answer your question about today's society, it's hard because the second you show any strength, it's shot down. So that's the real inner work we get to do as men, is to be able to handle rejection. Because if you choose to be a masculine man in the United States of America, you are going to get rejected for being who you are. And it's going to hurt a lot of men, and they're going to act out in a lot of ways. So being able to handle your wounds against rejection will help you step into that place. Like for me, for example, right now, I'm choosing to live outside of the United States because I can more easily be in the disposition I want to be in. But that doesn't mean I want to be running away from anything either. So it's always a test, because in other places in the world, it's more accepted. Whereas when I come back to the US, which is my home, and I love to come back here, a lot of my masculine essence is rejected, and I get to not get overly hurt about that.
In what countries do you see masculinity more protected?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say more protected, but I would just say more acknowledged and accepted. I've been living in Colombia, I've been living in Mexico, I've been living in Argentina. And even though Argentina is a very feminist country, they still understand that men will be men. Women still get attracted to a man in his masculinity, as opposed to, oh, there's something wrong here. Stop it, change it. This is uncomfortable. It's actually like, wow, this is attractive, because masculine man and a feminine woman, that's polarity. That's the essence of attraction. The essence of attraction. And yeah, if you're too masculine, you're a misogynist. I mean, the word misogynist is being thrown around way too much. Again, not to say there aren't a few out there. There are. But any man who's a man is considered a misogynist these days. And it's complete bullshit. I actually believe that in 2022 America, what I'm going to say here is a little controversial. I think we're more in a matriarchy than we are in a patriarchy right now. Everyone throws around the word patriarchy, but if you look at the laws, you look at the divorce laws, you look at the laws for child custody and all of that, look at where the laws are at and do that research and see. And there's a narrative that's saying, and again, this is not about separating men and women. This is just about us being in our power, both as men and as women, which looks different in my opinion. But I think what it comes down to right now is there's been a huge push to water down masculinity. And you were talking earlier, we were talking about it being dangerous, right? That's why since the 90s, they've been watering down men. And you think about like the dogs. When I'm in Mexico, I look at a dog, I'm like, okay, that's an animal as it's meant to be. I'm on my scooter, my 150cc scooter, and it's chasing me down. I'm like, all right, I got to avoid these rabies. That's a dog. I come back to the US, and in the last 30 years, most of these dogs fit in purses.
Right.
And, I go to Thailand, you can go and hug and cuddle with a tiger. That's not supposed to be right. And I think the same thing's happening with man. You know, we have a primal instinct. We have an animalistic side of us that is really amazing, and it's also dangerous, yes. And I think the fear of that danger of a free man is a very, very scary thing. And that's why institutions and structures have been the ones that have been watering down masculinity. It's not been women, it's been institutions and structures. And how can you better control a society than weaken the most ferocious of animals?
Right. Right. It's not just being watered down, it's being bred out as well.
Yeah, it's being bred out. I mean, I don't have any children, but from what I know, people who do have children in school systems, you know, anytime a boy says something funny or anytime he, you know, just has any sort of aggression in school, it's just go to the principal's office. I'm hearing a lot of parents now just defending their kids that they're not even letting my son be a boy. So
right. It's in
out.
society too, because you can't settle things like men anymore. There's no such thing.
No.
You both are gonna do the night in jail.
Yeah.
You both are gonna have to go to court and deal with that judge after.
Stay in line. Stay in line. That's all it's about. Stay in line. And you know, we can go into a lot of different topics, both feminism, relationships, with the vaccines, with everything. I don't care where you stand on it. I'm not a political person. But what I will say is if someone tells me to stay in line, I'm going to speak out for the people I love and care about and for myself. That's my duty.
They were forcing you to is the thing. Like you're making me choose between putting something I don't want to put in my body and feeding my family.
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to choose to feed my family. You know what I mean?
Of course. Of course. And how can you expect a woman who, you know, is with a man to provide for her, to protect her, to make her feel safe, and he says, "Oh, honey, sorry, I don't like these shots, but we have to do it. You know, you have to do it. I have to do it. Our kids have to do it because, you know, daddy said so." What's a woman going to feel like around that? Not very safe. So it goes back to the whole bad boy thing. Why women are attracted to bad boys is because a man who's willing to stand for what he believes in, whether it's nonsensical or rational, is a man that you can trust. A man is willing to fight for what he can believe in, what he believes in.
Right. I heard something on TikTok that's asked a woman who would she choose, the hero or the man, the hero or the villain. And the first woman said she'd choose the hero, and the second woman said she'd choose the villain. And the first woman asked the second woman why, and she said, "While your hero would sacrifice you to save the world, my villain would kill the world to save me."
That's it right there. That's it right there. And it doesn't mean we all got to be villains as men, but it's okay to be capable of it.
But the fact that they make your masculine side, your sacrifice for your woman, your undying love for your women and children is villainous.
Yeah.
It's a villainous trait.
Yeah.
When really it's supposed to be what I'm meant for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you think about feminism, about making women independent and empowered. It's taking away, you know, more dominant, submissive dynamics, more of those traditional dynamics where a woman would follow the leadership of her husband, X, Y, and Z. But, you know, women are built. Another controversial thing about to say, women are built to be submissive. Women are built to follow, to see what they look up to and kind of mimic that and embody that. And sure, you don't see a lot of women letting her husband lead the family, but now you're seeing women who are being submissive to their bosses and being submissive to their companies. And that submissiveness is going somewhere. It's not that these women are empowered. They're just giving their devotion somewhere else. And families are suffering for it.
Right. Right. Now, what is one thing you can say to a struggling man in a relationship? How can he make it better for him and his loved one?
Yeah. My heart just opened when you said that, because I work with a lot of men going through that. And step into your power and step into your truth. Just be who you are at 150% and realize that there are thousands of amazing women right for you. And if you feel like you have to hold on to something, if you have to tolerate disrespect, if you have to You don't water down yourself just to keep love. That's not the right kind of love that you want. And every man out there, the crazy thing is, and I've experienced this, a good chunk of my life, I had no success with women whatsoever. And I held on to whatever I could hold on to. And now I have an abundance of success with women. And there are thousands of women out there for you when you're in your power. And you might feel like you got to hold on to one. You might feel like you got to bend over and be somebody else and contort. But when you're in your power, when you're a valuable man in your masculinity, you can really choose. Every man here is capable of it. That's one great thing about being a man, is we are capable of getting better. We can hit the gym. We can be creative with our minds and make money. We can work on ourselves, and the masculine energy really brings in that success. So I would tell men who are in a tough relationship that don't focus on fixing the relationship, focus on fixing yourself. Focus on being the best version of yourself, because your wealth, your love life, it's all abundant, but it needs the best version of you.
Right.
That's
Now,
what it's about.
correct me if I'm wrong. You're not in any way, shape, or form telling men not to be in tune with their feminine side. You're telling them to be in tune with their feminine side, but make sure the masculine side is in dominant form. It's what's leading the charge in your life.
Yeah, 100%. And every man is different. I don't believe that there's one code. Even in my programs, it's not about do A, B, and C. It's about bringing in what is your truest essence. Some guys might be more 90-10 masculine, feminine. Another guy might be more 70-30. I see my balance good at about like 70-30, 75-35. I actually have a very strong intuition. So definitely be connected with your feminine side, but not at the cost of disconnecting from your masculine side.
Right. That's a great way to put it. Now you have another website. What can we look for in your second website?
Are you referring to karllashkari.com? Yes. So this is my personal story. This is just about me. As you see, there's a link to the Meta Mastery site, which you just saw, and all the podcasts. This one will go up there. All the content I've created. This is just a little bit about me and my journey.
Okay. Now, I don't want to take too much of your time because I know you are a busy man. It takes a lot of time to awaken the world's masculinity, so I'm not going to keep you too much longer. What is your clear-cut message, if to the dummies in the back, or to my little TikTok followers out there? Can you dumb it down and give them a clear-cut view of your message?
Yeah. I want you all to be connected to your heart, and there's nothing wrong with your power. There's nothing wrong with your strength. There's nothing wrong with your ferocity. There's nothing wrong with your genius. There's nothing wrong with your big boy voice. There's probably a lot of people in this world who've told you that it's wrong, that it's toxic, that masculinity is toxic. And my message to you is to accept what's natural for you, because if you feel like you're being somebody else, it's not the way to go. Accept what's natural to you. And if you feel like you're so disconnected from this masculine, just know that it is inside of you and there is something you can do about it. If you're feeling lost, if you're feeling helpless, if you're feeling like mental health issues are creeping up on you, you can't be in good relationships, you can't find money or success or business or anything like that, it is inside of you. But it starts with connecting with your inner dominant side, and it starts with connecting with your leadership, your innate human leadership.
Thank you, Karl. Thank you very much for that message, those words of wisdom for our viewers and listeners out there. I want to thank you again for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and I hope I can reach out to you for future episodes. We do another podcast, which is going to be moving to Friday nights. I'd love to have you on because we're always looking for a nice debate panel.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Would love to be part of the panel. Anything else, Jason? It was a great conversation. I appreciate your openness in this topic that's not easy to talk about everywhere.
Oh, it's not. It's not. But we are not afraid of getting canceled. So
My man.
here's some more conversations, and I wish we had a little bit more time on this show. Well, we can always make our time, but like I said, we don't want to take too much of yours tonight. We will we'll schedule some something else on a later date.
Sounds good, man.
Thank you, man. You have a great night.
Yeah. Take care, everybody out there. Thanks for
You
having
too.
me. Bye.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
You as well.
I'll be right back with you. Now, there you have it. Another great guest, another great topic, another awakening for some of you guys out there. It needs to be said. Yeah, smart man, great views. It's a given. And if you need to learn more, you need to know more, you want to know more, go to menofmastery.us. Get into those classes that Karl got going on. Wait for that TED Talk to come out. Or watch this episode over and over and over and over again in the archives. You can see it. It's there. But thank you. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Happy holidays to all of you. And we've been good this year, like you've been good. So I think we deserve a present. And our present should be a like, a follow, and a subscribe. And share this with your friends everywhere, across the United States, across the world. We have information for everybody. Something can be used in these Talking Junk archives. So be sure to share this. And I'm going to leave you guys tonight with the words of a wise man.
I say this because I'm a father. See, I am a father of thousands around the world. I'm a father of my kids, but a spiritual father to many. And I don't make stupid allegations because I got nothing better to do. You all have been bartering and trading the souls of young black and brown men in this country. And I'm calling on all the umbrellas. I'm calling on everybody in this country to begin to rise up because your sons have been done dirty.
Stay woke. I love you. Happy holidays. See you next week.